The Abyssal Watchers, the forgotten naval encounter in the world's oceans. There are depths we will never touch, shadows we will never penetrate, and mysteries we were never meant to witness. For all our technology, for all our sonar and satellites, we still know more about the surface of the moon than we do about the trenches of our own seas. The ocean hides things, and it hides them well, but sometimes those things rise. It was the spring of 1977, and the Cold War was still in full swing. The Pacific had become a chessboard of submarines, spy planes, and naval fleets, each side probing the boundaries of the other, testing defenses, measuring response times. Among these fleets was the USS Franklin, a Knox-class frigate assigned to anti-submarine operations in the Mariana Basin. Her mission was routine: patrol the waters east of Guam, monitor Soviet activity, and remain invisible to the outside world. The Franklin carried a crew of nearly 200. Life on board was tight, disciplined, and monotonous. Sailors filled their days with drills, maintenance, and the endless hum of machinery. The ocean around them was vast and empty, a rolling desert of water stretching to every horizon. But beneath that silence, sonar told another story, a world alive with signals, echoes, and unknown movements. On the night of May 12th, the Franklin picked up something unusual. At first, it seemed like a submarine contact. The sonar room registered a fast-moving object at a depth of nearly 6,000 feet. The operators assumed it was a Soviet vessel, but the speed didn't fit. Submarines of the era could push maybe 35 knots underwater. This object was moving at over 200. The men in the sonar room exchanged nervous glances, recalibrated the system, and ran the scans again. The reading remained the same. Commander Richard Hale, the Franklin's captain, was summoned. A hard man with 20 years at sea, Hale didn't rattle easily. He ordered a full tracking lock and told his officers to treat it as an unidentified submersible, possibly a new Soviet technology. The Cold War had produced stranger things, but what the sonar revealed over the next hour would defy everything Hale and his men had been trained to believe. The object didn't move like a machine. It didn't follow a straight trajectory. Instead, it darted, stopped, reversed, and spiraled in ways that mocked the laws of inertia. Sometimes it vanished entirely from sonar, only to reappear miles away in the span of seconds. The size estimates fluctuated wildly, at times suggesting something as small as a jet, other times something as massive as a battleship, and then the lights began. Shortly after 0200 hours, the watchmen on deck reported strange glows beneath the waves. At first faint, like distant stars seen through a fog. Then brighter, shimmering orbs rising slowly toward the surface. The ocean lit up with an eerie blue-white radiance that pulsed and shimmered as if alive. The men stood at the rails, transfixed. Some swore they saw shapes moving inside the lights, silhouettes shifting like shadows within water. Others claimed the lights communicated, flashing in deliberate patterns, as though signaling. Then, without warning, 3 of the glowing orbs broke the surface. They rose silently into the air, dripping with seawater, hovering above the waves like living suns. No sound, no turbulence, no engines, just perfect spheres of light, each the size of a small house. The crew erupted in chaos, radios crackled, orders were shouted. Cameras were grabbed, though many would later be confiscated. Hale ordered all lights extinguished and the ship brought to silent running, but it was too late. The spheres drifted closer, circling the Franklin like predators curious about their prey. The ship trembled, not from waves, not from wind, but from something deeper. A vibration that seemed to pass through metal and flesh alike, rattling teeth and bones. Men clutched their heads, describing a pressure, a hum that grew louder inside their skulls. Then one of the spheres descended. It hovered just above the waterline, so close the men could feel its heat on their skin. Its surface was not solid, but fluid, a shifting membrane of light that rippled like liquid glass. Those who dared to look too long swore they saw figures inside, tall, elongated shapes that moved with unnatural grace, their outlines blurring as though they belonged to another reality entirely. Suddenly, the Franklin's entire electrical system went dead. Engines stopped, lights blinked out. Radios fell silent, even the emergency batteries failed. The ship drifted helplessly in the dark, surrounded by a glowing sea. Panic threatened to consume the crew. Hale shouted orders, but his voice was drowned out by the low, resonant hum that now filled the air. And then, just as suddenly, the silence fell. Every man on deck froze as the largest sphere, nearly 50 feet across, began to rise directly above the ship. It hovered there for a moment, casting the Franklin in a blinding glow, before releasing a beam of light that engulfed the deck. 5 sailors vanished instantly. They had been standing at their stations one moment, and in the next, they were simply gone. No scream, no movement, no trace. Their rifles clattered to the steel deck, their boots remained where they had stood, but the men themselves had been erased. The remaining crew staggered back in horror. Some wept openly, others fell to their knees, praying. Hale, trembling, ordered his men below decks, but the hatch doors would not budge. It was as though an unseen force held them shut. For nearly 30 minutes, the Franklin remained trapped in the light of the spheres. Men reported seeing visions, flashes of alien landscapes, strange cities beneath dark oceans, towering figures watching them with unreadable eyes. Others claimed to hear voices, not with their ears, but inside their heads. A chorus of whispers speaking in a language they could not understand. And then, as if a decision had been made, the lights withdrew. The spheres rose higher into the air, joined by others still surfacing from the depths. Together they ascended in silence, merging into a single radiant point before vanishing into the clouds. Power returned instantly, engines roared to life. Lights blazed, radios crackled. It was as though nothing had happened. Nothing, except for the 5 men who were gone. The Franklin limped back to Guam within 48 hours. There, the crew was met not with relief, but with silence. Naval intelligence immediately took control. The men were separated, interrogated, threatened into silence. Reports were classified at the highest level. Families of the missing were told their sons had died in a training accident at sea. Closed casket funerals were held. But the men who survived never forgot. Years later, some broke their silence anonymously. They spoke of recurring nightmares, drowning in glowing water, being watched from the darkness below. Some suffered from sudden nosebleeds, migraines, and strange electrical disturbances in their homes. A few claimed to have been followed, their phones tapped, their lives monitored long after their service ended. What became of the Franklin's logs, the sonar tapes, and the photographs taken that night remains a mystery. Officially, nothing unusual happened. The incident does not appear in Navy archives. The ship's patrol logs for that period were destroyed in what was later described as a records accident. And yet, whispers persist, whispers of other ships encountering lights beneath the waves, of submarines chased by impossible objects that dive deeper and faster than any human craft, of entire sonar readings classified as USOs, unidentified submersible objects. Some believe the spheres were not machines at all, but living beings, creatures that inhabit the oceans unseen, emerging only when provoked. Others insist they were vehicles, scouts from a civilization older and far more advanced than our own, hidden in the deep where we cannot reach. What cannot be denied is this: 5 men vanished from the deck of a U.S. Navy vessel in the middle of the Pacific. Their absence is a fact, the rest has been buried under secrecy and silence. The ocean still holds its secrets, it always has. Beneath its waves lie trenches deeper than Everest is tall, places no submersible has ever touched. If something wanted to hide there, we would never find it. If something watched us from there, we would never know until it chose to rise. The men of the Franklin believed they were watched. They believed they were measured, tested, and warned. And to this day, none can explain why the spheres took only 5 and left the others to remember. Perhaps the answer lies in the abyss itself. Perhaps those who vanished were not taken, but chosen. And perhaps, even now, in the dark silence miles beneath the surface, they are still there, waiting, watching, transformed into something no longer human, something belonging to the watchers of the deep. Because the sea is not empty, it never was. And the night the Franklin crossed paths with the abyss, the crew learned that the ocean has eyes, eyes that have never looked away.